Welcome, everybody, to the Heal Your Hunger show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive. And I'm really excited to share with you about something that is so subtle and so self-sabotaging. So if you are tired of sabotaging your health goals with overeating, I'm going to be talking about something that doesn't get talked about on the topic of self-sabotage, and yet it has a lot to do with how we spiral down the rabbit hole of overeating. And that's what the Heal Your Hunger show is all about. What is making us tick as emotional eaters and what's causing our downfall? Even though we have so much information about health and we've read all the books and we exercise and we do all the things, and yet we sabotage with binge eating or eating the foods that we know don't make us feel good. So much of the self-sabotage comes from the subtle ways that we think. So I'm going to get into that today around storytelling. But I want to say, if you're here at the Heal Your Hunger show for the first time, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. This is where we discuss things that don't usually get covered, like the subtle ways that we think and self-sabotage. So I'm excited about today's show, and I'm excited that you're here, whether you're here for the first time or the umpteenth time. It's not an easy word. Welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. And make sure to take the quiz on my website, the emotional eating quiz, to find out if you're an emotional eater or a food addict or somewhere in between. You get a personalized score when you do that. And that's super helpful because then you know next steps to take in order to heal. And just so you know, emotional eating is kind of an umbrella term, and knowing where you are on the spectrum of emotional eating is going to be most important. So you'll get that score when you take that quiz on my website, healyourhunger.com. And also join us in the Facebook group, The Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating. That's where we keep the conversation going. So again, super glad you're here. Let's dig in. My topic today is about basically the spiral that telling ourselves stories creates. So it's really easy as overeaters to be overthinkers and to make up stories in our minds and then react to those stories and go to hell in a handbasket. Okay, so I want to bring this topic up because it's a subtlety of our minds. It's a pattern we fall into, and it's something I coach my clients about. You know, we have to start observing our thoughts and what's going on between our ears, because so much of our overeating is triggered by that very thing, the thoughts we think and the feelings we have based on the thoughts that we think. So we got to dig into this. We got to go deeper. Your problem is not food. Your problem is not weight. Overweight is a symptom of overeating, and overeating is a symptom of what's eating you. So let's check out one of the many things that eat us as emotional eaters, and one of them is the stories that we tell ourselves. These are stories that are often about people, situations, and even ourselves, and they can trigger unnecessary stress, they can cause resentment, and ultimately emotional eating. So we have to get hip to how we're thinking and what's going on between our ears. So what are these stories? As emotional eaters, we have a tendency to overthink and make assumptions. You know, someone doesn't text back right away, and we jump to the conclusion they must be mad at me. Or a friend is acting quiet and we're thinking she doesn't like me anymore, or she's mad about something I said. Perhaps a coworker gets a promotion and we make it mean something. We decide that it means we're not good enough. Are you picking up what I'm laying down here? We make up stories. We just jump to conclusions and we decide it's a certain way when we have no basis for believing that. And we don't just think these thoughts, we believe them, we react to them by feeling hurt or dejected, and then we react to those feelings often by turning to food for comfort. Another example, our friend cancels plans with us. And instead of accepting that, hey, maybe something came up that's legit, we turn it on ourselves, we go inward, and we assume that she doesn't value our friendship, or she's rejecting us, or she prefers to hang out with somebody instead of us. Like, we make up a story about it, And then we feel so horrible that we end up overeating over the story we've told ourselves. And when you think about it, it's really crazy to do this, but we do it all the time. I have done it so many times. I catch myself now most of the time, but not all the time. Okay, not all the time. And as emotional eaters, we're super sensitive. We're sensitive to rejection. We're sensitive to people not liking us. We're also sensitive to fearing that people don't like us because we get so much of our value or sense of worth out of other people's acknowledgement, other people's affirmation of our worth. Unfortunately, it'd be better if we just knew our worth. It'd be better if we just assert, hey, I'm a child of God. I am worthy in God's sight. I am a worthy human being. People would be so lucky to hang out with me, right? But that's not usually our train of thought. Our train of thought is there's something wrong with me and she knows it and she's rejecting me by canceling plans with me. And the truth is, we don't know why she canceled, but the story we make up makes us feel bad. It makes us feel like there's something wrong with us and somebody is doing something to us. Ooh, take a deep breath into that. We are making up stories and then spiraling into feeling terrible. And then what's our next step when we feel bad? We eat. We eat to make ourselves feel better. Why do we do this? Emotional eaters often have deep fear of rejection. And obviously, like I've said, a sensitivity to what others think of us. We're empaths, and so we do feel others' energy really easily, and we pick up other people's energy, but to a fault. And sometimes we can misread people's energy. We also often think everything is about us. And if somebody's in a bad mood, they must be mad at us. If somebody's throwing around attitude, oh, it must be about us. So we're pretty self-centered. Okay, we think it's all about us all the time. And that causes undue angst because we think their mood is an indication of how they feel about us, or perhaps that we've messed up, even though we have no idea what we've done or any evidence that we've done anything. But we're looking for signs that confirm our worst fears, even if they aren't real. This is such a trap, and I really want you to get hip to this, to notice when your mind is making up a story. And the way to get out of this is to question that story. Ask yourself, is this story based on facts or my assumptions? Would I think this way if I felt better about myself? Like, would I always assume somebody's mad at me if I had a better sense of worth and I had confidence in who I am as a person? And if there's no evidence that any of this is true, what you have to do is know you're doing it again. You're making up a story, okay? And I want you to start learning to jump to a good conclusion instead of a negative conclusion. Oh, she must have just had something come up. She loves me. She values me as a friend. We're going to get together another time. So turn that negative assumption on its head. Another thing you can do is reframe the narrative. If you haven't heard from a girlfriend for a while, don't assume she's mad at you. Don't assume she's moved on. Try again, reframing and thinking, maybe she's been hurting and needs support. Again, we make things all about ourselves. Maybe she's needing support, and maybe she's waiting for you to reach out to her. Let's stop thinking it's all about us, shall we? Also, instead of thinking I'm being judged, try this. People are busy, and maybe they just don't have time to think about me. Maybe they're too busy to focus on what's wrong with me. Maybe they're too busy thinking about what's wrong with them. Again, it's not all about us. Another way to pull out of this terrible trap of thinking is to ask questions. If you find yourself feeling insecure about somebody's silence or somebody's comment that seems like it was directed at you, ask a clarifying question. Was that directed towards me? Like, were you talking about something I've done? Just ask. Or, hey, I've noticed you were quiet today. Is everything okay? It's not only okay to ask, it's so much better than jumping to the wrong conclusion. And most of the time, you'll find that your assumptions were wrong. Another thing you can do is stay present. Anxiety lives in the future. Regret lives in the past. Stay present. When you feel yourself spinning stories, bring your attention to the now. Staying in the now helps keep us in reality instead of spinning stories about something we've done in the past or some awful thing that's going to happen in the future. Another thing you can do is just take deep breaths. When your head starts to spin, when you feel yourself getting anxious or feeling like something's terribly wrong, take a deep breath. Feel your feet on the ground and remind yourself that this moment is safe. And probably the most important thing you can do is detach your worth from other people's actions. Again, it's not all about you. It's not all about your worth. Your value isn't determined by how someone reacts to you or treats you. Feel that deep in your bones. Your value isn't determined by how someone treats you or reacts to you. Even if somebody is making it about you, even if somebody is mad at you, that does not determine your worth. That does not mean you get to crumble and fall and decide you suck. Okay? It's just one person's experience, which is mixed in with all kinds of experiences from their own past, right? Stories they're telling. Don't get sucked into it. Stay present and affirm your worth. Just because somebody's mad at me doesn't mean my value has changed one bit. Really important that you do your work to know your worth. And I believe spirituality can help with this. Spending time each morning developing a sense of worth, tapping into that inner part of you, that beautiful, perfect part of you that's of God and whatever God is for you, that spiritual source, that divine center. Tap into that on a daily basis. Have some affirmations that you say on a daily basis to help lock it in. That's your work to do. It's not everybody else's job to make you feel like you're worth something. It's your job. So shift your focus to self-approval instead of needing approval from other people. So to sum this all up, we don't have to live at the mercy of the stories in our heads. So start watching your thoughts. Get hip to your thoughts. Be aware of what you're thinking. Don't let your head take you on a ride. The more we pause, question, and reframe, the less control these stories will have over us. And when we stop reacting to these false narratives, we stop falling down the rabbit hole of feeling bad and feeling worthless, because at the end of that rabbit hole is always a whole lot of food. And lastly, if you want help to change your mind, if you want help to change your eating, I hope you'll reach out, because that's what we do here at Heal Your Hunger. So I hope this has been helpful for you. You deserve to feel free. You deserve to live in freedom, in the present, in reality, in the knowledge that you are awesome. Thanks so much. Follow me on Instagram at Tricia Nelson _ and visit healyourhunger.com to take the emotional eating quiz. Great to be with you. I love you so much. I'll see you on the next show. If you're ready to get off the dieting roller coaster ride and finally make peace with food and with your body, talk to a Heal Your Hunger mentor about what steps you need to take based on your own history with food and weight. Go to healyourhunger.com and register for an emotional eating breakthrough session and see how fast you can experience real change. It's a complimentary evaluation, but there are limited spots available. So go to healyourhunger.com and register to speak with a mentor today.